Hello, hello. I should be speaker view. Let's try this again. Maybe if I pin. Okay. There's always some kind of glitch with technology on Sundays. Good morning to our Facebook family. My name is Amber Guzman, and I am a practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living here in Monterey. And I am excited to welcome you to our service today, where our very own practitioner, Denise Keku, will be speaking. For those of you who don't know Denise, she has been a licensed practitioner since 2006. She's also started her own coaching and business consulting practice, Keku Consulting. She is the most wonderful person I've ever met, loving and giving. She's also served this last year in the World Ministry of Prayer. And gosh, her bio is just phenomenal. She worked for the IRS. She has a master's degree in organizational development from the University of San Francisco, and she loves serving others and giving back. So without further ado, we welcome Denise Keku.
Thank you, Amber. And forgive me if my screen freezes up. I still am working on my upload speeds. One of the things that I really love about giving a talk is for me, I really need to explore, research, and fully embrace what Spirit is calling me forth to say, even though we have outlines that are prepared for all the talks and the themes for the year. Ministers are free to use them, not use them, adapt them, and make them their own. And as a reminder, our theme for the month is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. And one of the things about timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision is that we have been exploring the ancient and sacred wisdom of science of mind. Traditionally, in January, we usually give talks covering the first 4 chapters of the textbook written by Ernest Holmes. And it basically covers what science mind is, how it works, how we can use it. So this 5th Sunday, the talk title is Looking Above. And to me, my interpretation of looking above, meaning that Spirit is all around us, in us, through us, and is below us, above us, surrounds us. If you look at life in any shape or form, 4-legged, 2-legged, plant life, there is an enigmatic quality that is magnetic and beautiful and exciting in all life. We are displayed in the Zoom room, 33 little windows filled with unique expressions of the divine. And I love it because we've shown up with our own unique way of expressing with hats. And that's been really a fun gathering this morning, and a surprise. It's like, oh, it's Hat Sunday. Yay! Look at all those amazing hats and unique expressions. Not that a hat is required, because you don't have to have one to show up for church. So at any rate, I wanted to just remind that the evolutionary vision piece of January's theme is really about waking up to a larger vision of our spiritual magnificence, to ourselves, to the center, to the planet, that we have a worthy vision of a world that works for everyone, and that this global vision also applies at the individual level, that we are on the spiritual path of discovering ways to remember our spiritual expression and commit toward divine unfoldment, the spiraling upward of our own consciousness, to remind us that we are spiritual beings having a human experience in physical form. So out of that evolutionary vision, the timeless wisdom is really for us about living in a state of awareness of our true nature, which is living this heaven on earth. Heaven is not a place in the sky that you go to when you die. Heaven is a state of mind here and now. It is part of the experience of really deepening into our own spiritual nature, which is love and joy, compassion and kindness, beauty, all the different descriptions of spirit that are limitless and so indescribable in many ways. So life, love, beauty, joy, we speak in many physical expressions of the divine. So one of the things about today's talk, it's really about how you hold the vision. How do you hold your spiritual magnificence and live into the global vision of a world that works for everyone? Does your world work for you first? And if not, what are some ways that you can change things up and embrace a new you? For we are new and made new in every moment with every breath we take. We're making new skin ever so many days. Our organs are revitalizing and new blood is circulating. We oxygenate our physical being with every breath that is automatic. There's nothing we have to do. We don't have to think, breathe to breathe. Our body just knows how to do all of that and maintain our physical form. So what I love about the science of mind, for me, on this journey of my own spiritual development and giving myself away in service, is that spiritual practices matter. They help me stay grounded. They help me expand my mindfulness, my ability to be flexible and open. And I live in the wonder and curiosity of how the law supports me through physical demonstrations. Sometimes I merely think something and it comes into form. Anybody ever had the experience of thinking of a person and then boom, they call on the phone? Yeah. I think that that's not a mistake or a happenstance or a coincidence. I think we are all connected and there are many universal laws and principles that operate in life. And the study of science of mind helps us deepen our faith and trust in these principles that are creating a life that is for us. For there is no duality, there is only good. Even in the midst of temporary upsets that we've been experiencing this month, there is a way to reinvent and recreate ourselves. We don't have to catch the national mood, whatever label you want to put on it through the news. So there are 3 talking points that I want to cover in this talk about looking above. You think about the eagle flying high at 1,500 feet and viewing the landscape. They're seeing a different view from that eagle's eye view than if we were on the ground. So this looking above to me is seeing a higher truth, like the eagle's eye view, to step back and see a larger landscape of possibility. And how do we do that? We do that by not getting sucked into race consciousness or the current events on the news, which oftentimes are very upsetting. So the 3 points that I want to make have to do with for me, my own personal self-coaching journey, but I believe it starts with us before we can fan out in a ripple effect to impact and serve others. So point 1, cultivate awareness. Point 2, open to this or something better when you pray. And point 3, develop a sense of presence and mindfulness. Now I'll go back and talk about each 3 of them, but I want you to think about the words awareness, openness, and mindfulness. How often do we move through our day kind of in automatic mode, checking up our list of things to do, or aimlessly kind of wandering through the things that are right in front of us, but not really being mindfully present in the moment. And I think part of this living spirit fully is that as we cultivate awareness, something happens, something shifts within us. There's a quote from the Science of Mind text on page 481, paragraph 4. True liberty comes only through true harmony. True harmony only through true unity. And true unity can come only through the conscious realization that we are one with God. So in thinking about that quote from the textbook, how often do we go through the day feeling like we are one with God? Or that we notice in our daily living that there are ways that life supports us? Are we truly aware of the many blessings that pour forth? So I have a couple tips for you on cultivating your awareness. And these are just rhetorical self-reflection questions. My life coaching style is coming out, but feel free to answer to yourself in your notes. How much time do you spend watching the news? How do you start your day? How do you end your day? What spiritual practices have you dedicated yourself to on a daily basis? What we water grows. What we plant seeds in comes into form. So here's a couple tips. For those of you that have Amazon Prime, I found a documentary called The Antidote. It is an inspiring and uplifting movie about people doing kind, loving, community building things in their own reach. And for me, it was such an inspiring testimony to the loving heart within each of us, because it's love expressed. The emergency room people who wash the feet of the homeless because they live in the cold and their feet have sores or they have foot issues, and that it is done with love, respect for the individual. That was such a moving vignette for me in the movie, because I think oftentimes we don't treat everybody the same. How many of you listen to podcasts that inspire you, that teach you something new about the planet, about life, about your own spirit or physiology? When was the last time you danced to music? And what impact did that have on your physical being and your thinking? So yes, we have a body, and it is connected to our mind and our heart and our soul. And when they're all in alignment, what a beautiful expression of spirit you are. For we can't think one thing and do another that is opposite of it. It's part of how we are wired as human beings. So I ask you, what is your default mode? Do you whine and complain? Do you live from fear and doubt? Well, let's turn away, for that is not Spirit's nature. Let's turn away and breathe. Just take a nice deep breath and pause. And notice how your body the shoulders drop and your body goes, thank you for that nice deep breath. And smile. And embrace that sense of gratitude. Thank you for this day, Spirit. This beautiful day, these beautiful people in my church family. Thank you for this connection and the joyful expression of each one of you committed to showing up and sharing this experience called church. I end my day with writing 3 good things that happen. Unexpected, unplanned, but for me, it cultivates my awareness. Well, what happened today? What did I do? What was surprising? Or a new experience, perhaps. But I document them at the close of my day and end my day with 3 good things. For years, I used to write a grateful list every evening, 3 to 5 things I was grateful for. But this 3 good things has kind of changed things up for me. You know, like everything in life, if it gets too habituated, we don't appreciate it in the same way. So cultivate awareness in any way that elevates your spirit, your mood, your sense of the divine expressing. When you find yourself down and out, upset, or fearful, turn away, take a breath, and do something else that is uplifting, loving. Do something for someone else. Do something for yourself that cultivates joy. It may be something as simple as taking the time to create a lovely meal and enjoying eating that meal bite by bite and appreciating with gratitude all the many hands that brought that food into your home. So, number 1, cultivate awareness. That is a heart opening place for spirit to really show up in a conscious way. Number 2, when you pray and you say this or something better, how often do we get attached to the this, which is usually my way of how I think things ought to be? Can I really release that and say something better, bigger, grander, unexpected could come into my life? Am I aware enough to see it and notice it? Or am I too wedded to the this piece because it doesn't look like I want it to look, that I can't see something better? I think there's an element of control in this. You know, I'm used to making my list, checking them off, getting stuff done. I'm in control. But there are also times when I need to surrender and trust into spirit and know that something better can be possible if I am willing to detach from how I think it ought to look. Prayer is powerful, and it demonstrates in lovely ways if we are awake to notice it and to grab onto it. Anybody ever get brilliant ideas in the shower? And then the minute you step out of the shower, it's like, what was that great idea? What I tell myself is, you know, I need to get a waterproof pen to write my ideas down in the shower. But what I tell myself is that spirit urging me on, the ideas will come back, and they usually do. You know, so paying attention to how we quicken to life, what excites us, what we are drawn to, is spirit calling for something better in us. And it may not look like you think it ought to look. If it's a little scary or it agitates you a little bit in the newness of it, perhaps you need to just be with it, marinate on it, and see what happens next. So cultivating awareness, opening to something better. And the third one, mindfulness, developing a sense of in every moment being fully present here now, not worrying about the past, not futzing over the future, but being here right now. And how do we do that? One suggestion is a candle meditation. Anybody ever done the spiritual practice with a candle? It's very easy for those that have trouble sitting and closing your eyes to meditate. You just sit, light a candle, and stare at the flame. And every time your mind wanders, you just bring your attention gently back to the flame and watch the flame. What that does is it cultivates the focus for you to be mindfully in this moment, fully appreciate the beautiful dance of that flickering flame. So mindfulness really is about enjoying, acknowledging, and experience the now, heaven on earth. For we create heaven or hell in our own minds. And wouldn't it be more joyful to say, I live in a heaven on earth. I love my life. My home is a lovely sanctuary of safety and beauty. I love that I can prepare hot meals and I have clean running water that I can wash my hands. To look around at all the ways life blesses and washes over me in ways that I have taken for granted. Mindfulness calls us to see all the ways that we are abundantly blessed. For we live in a prosperous country with so much we take for granted. The fact that we have roads that are paved and G-men that come and pick up our garbage. What a blessing. If there were a strike, we would really notice and appreciate them because our garbage would pile up at the curb. So just knowing that this heaven on earth is already here, we are already living it, and cultivating a deeper appreciation of it through mindfully experiencing every single activity of life, from the mundane to the spectacular. Enjoying tasting a warm snickerdoodle that just came out of the oven, which I did last night. Appreciating the sound of my electric toothbrush as I brush my teeth. And know, wow, I don't have to work too hard at this. The brush is doing the work. Or how about putting your hand over your heart and declaring, I love myself just the way I am. God doesn't make junk. I'm perfect. And each of you are. You were born perfect and complete just the way you came into this world. And your loving presence as you shine your energetic light of who you uniquely are with your gifts that you give away to others with your sharing, your caring, and your own self-care matter. They matter on this planet because you contribute to a world with more peace, more love, more kindness and caring. So what I love about this teaching is that it calls us to be the best version of you can possibly be. This is a quote from John O'Donohue, and it comes from To Bless the Space Between Us. Awaken your heart to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. So I was very struck by Amanda Gorman. I got carried away on YouTube yesterday, seeing her on Ellen and Kelly Clarkson and the Today Show. She is the most incredible, self-poised, dynamic artist, poet, and her presence is compelling. At 22, she is such a loving expression of God. Imagine when she runs for president in 2036. I just got so tickled. So, you know, the call to action, I think, for this particular talk, and maybe call it your homework for the week, but it's to live into the one sentence affirmation: I allow the divine to unfold through me. I allow the divine to unfold through me. And the call to action, well, let me tell you the story first, the closing story, and then I'll share with you the call to action. This is a great story. It's about a young woman that spent a summer break in Yellowstone Park working. And for those who aren't aware, it's a very large space of land in Northwest USA, the nation's and the world's first national park. Yellowstone spans more than 6 million acres and has over 5 distinct ecosystems and geographic areas, including its famous geothermal features, like the geysers and the brilliantly colored hot springs. The park is also home to among the most diverse wildlife in North America. Anybody visited Yellowstone? So you know what I'm talking about. That's on my bucket list. I haven't been yet, but we're going one of these days. So in Yellowstone, hiking is common in the park. And while there are many hiking trails, off trails, and backcountry trek. So at any rate, this young woman's father came to visit her. And as they drove through the famous Lamar Valley to the rolling hills at the foothill of a mountain range, they arrived to the lookout point they wanted to see, stopped the car, and got out. Being of an adventurous nature and tired of sitting in the car, they walked over a low ridge to find another low ridge. It's just on the other side of that ridge, her father called. Upon hiking to the top of the next ridge, they saw another ridge. It's just on the other side of that ridge, her father called again, taking off. Cresting the next ridge and seeing another, he cried, "It's just on the other side of that ridge." "You keep saying that, Dad. What do you think we'll find?" she asked him, laughing and enjoying the simple pleasure of wandering along to see what they would find. "I don't know," he said. "Maybe the same thing. Maybe a moose. Who knows? But it's just on the other side of that ridge." And on they trekked, off trail, ridge after ridge, until they found it. A herd of pronghorn with small babies darting through the valley. Had they not been curious, had they not wandered from ridge to ridge, enjoying what they found and still remaining open to seeing more, they never would have glimpsed those rare animals. Side note, I had to look up pronghorn because I didn't know what it was. It is one of the oldest ancient mammals on the planet. They're kind of like a goat and an antelope sort of combined. They have these beautiful pronged horns that point backwards. And they are the second fastest animal on the planet. The cheetahs are number one. But pronghorns run more than 60 miles an hour for longer periods than cheetahs. So I learned something new this morning when I Googled pronghorns. So back to the story, while each ridge was beautiful and each moment is beautiful, if we only cling to the destinations we planned on hitting, we could miss bigger, better surprises. So my charge to you, the call to action this week, is to invite you to find places in your life where you've stopped remembering the limitless power and potential of God and practice letting go. Surrender to the divine will unfolding and see the deep magic and the high vision just waiting to be revealed. Blessings. Thank you. So I'm going to move into a closing prayer and know that Spirit lives, breathes, and has its being in each one of us present. That there is this beautiful, exquisite energy of life that quickens us and calls us to a greater expression of who we are. Inspired ideas of ways to serve, to love, to care, to share, to love ourselves as well as loving others. And in this expansion and spiraling upward in our consciousness, we grow more aware, more mindful, more open to new possibilities, to hearing Spirit's call, to come and be a partner in life, in service to this beautiful, exquisite experience. So I just let this be and know that the dynamic action of the law is working instantly and says yes to every idea we have. I align myself with the truth that we are so much greater with full potential and limitless possibility. So I just bless this all and know that this community matters. I am grateful for this teaching, for the transformational power to change our minds and our thoughts and to elevate our consciousness in ways that we become spectacular partners in life. So I just let this be. And if you agree with me, please affirm this by saying, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Denise, for sharing with us. That was an amazing talk. It's always a pleasure to hear you. And I will take those 3 points of awareness, openness, and mindfulness with me throughout the week. And now comes the time where we can all participate in giving. So our slide, or we're going to say together wherever you are, our affirmation of abundance. I know when we were in the sanctuary, we would hold our offering to our heart. So I invite you just to put your hand towards your heart and say with me, I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance, consciousness flows, everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. I release this visible substance as an outer symbol of my inner supply into the physical world. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And we can all participate in our giving of currency. Currency is a current. It's supposed to flow and not be stagnant, and give. And you can do that 3 ways at the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. You can mail a check to 400 West Franklin Street in Monterey. You can also go onto our website, montereycsl.org/donate. And there are also 2 links to give in our newsletter. And then you can text to give, which is my favorite. You just text the word give to 831-246-9694, and it will respond back to you a link where you can enter your payment information to do it one time or to set it up on a reoccurring basis. And I personally, whenever I get paid, I just type in a dollar amount to that same number, and my donation is given to the center. We appreciate you so much. I also want to invite our Facebook family. If you enjoy our services on Facebook, we want to see your faces too. If you'd like to not be so anonymous, we invite you to come into our Zoom room on Sunday mornings and visit with us in person there. And that information is on our newsletter, which shows up for you in the Facebook group. So enjoy your week, Facebook friends, and have a wonderful week.